Started out on live, man, that was the play. Streaming every night, building up the sway. But as the site faded, I had to find my way. Now I'm hopping platforms, surfing through the fray. Got my crew behind me, yeah, we call them givers. Chillin' IRL, catching all the rivers. Sparkle in the chat, bringing loss to the grind. Talking crypto games while we sipping Jack Fine. Gives a minute, yeah, we take our time. Living in the moment, the life's subtle wine. From the land down under, streaming through the night. New Zealand vibes, surfing waves day to night. Always looking for the next thrill, that's where I ignite. Community so solid, always shining bright. Rolling, rolling deep and cruising for the height. From the struggle to the stream, it's all just a game. But with the giver found, we're making our name. Tracking crypto profits, life just gets sweeter. Every view and every stream, making life a keeper. Give us a minute, yeah, we take our time. Living in the moment, life's a subtle wine. From the land down under, streaming through the night. Got my heart on my sleeve, everything feels right. So here's to the journey, no regrets in sight. Each laugh and each tear, it's a beautiful fight. Keep the wave rolling, let the good vibes flow. We're the givers, together in the show. Give us a minute, yeah, we take our time. Living in the moment, the life's a subtle wine. From the land down under, streaming through the night. Got my heart on my sleeve, everything feels right. Service, I would play a game. From start to next time, but chasing fame. With fear behind me, changing scenes. So through the internet, living out the dream. Got my acoustic strum, curing and chill for cracking jokes. Let's stop the thrill. In the land of Kiwis, we ride the waves. Our own streams phone, no better days. Give us a minute, yeah, we take our time. Living in the moment, the life's a subtle rhyme.
Hello, the internet! It is Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2025, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. We're going to take a little look at this video here, the Hard Rock Hotel collapse. Who did that on D-Live? Davo. Hello, Davo. How you doing, man? Just let me say good day to you. Who did that? Netskis were the host on D-Live. Netskis, thank you, man. And Davo, thank you for the donations over there on D-Live. Yeah, the Hard Rock Hotel, not a place, it's kind of weird. Like, we used to go to the Hard Rock Hotel quite often on Tracer Tours. By the way, I'm just going to turn all this down. I've been fiddling again with audio knobs and dials and crap, and that's too loud. I've got to turn that back down. That's better. Just in the background there is better. Yeah, and then there's a video here, the Hard Rock Hotel collapse. This one here, someone put this in my chat. New Orleans Hard Rock Hotel collapse in 2019. 3 people died. It was a brand new building, apparently. So we're going to take a little look at that and see if we can't learn a little about it. Thank you for being here, spending some time with me on your Tuesday or Monday, depending on wherever you are. And the idea is just to have a nice, chilled, relaxed one here today. Not get too deep. What else have we got going on? We got 2 videos of this Hard Rock Hotel collapse. What? Why am I hearing? Right, I was hearing 2 versions of this song. Okay, the technicalities are all out my. It's all going crap right now. It's all gone to hell. We got other videos here. ChatGPT AI lied to programmers to self-preserve. Interesting. Surfing with a penguin. Well, that sounds fun. Rhode Island prosecutor Devin Flanagan tells police to turn off body cameras. Okay, interesting. The new Cracker Barrel logo is great, and that's an AI parody. Interesting. So yeah, that's the plan here, just to hang out and shoot the shit. Nice of you to spend your time with me. I kind of need a coffee though. I'm going to go and do that as a matter of course. Or I might just chill here for a bit. And we might take a look at some Tipsy Panda later on. But the idea here is just to hang out for a little while and just to chill. Other things too. It's September. The new speed plans from the NBN come out this month. I wonder what's going to happen. I mean, I'm probably going to upgrade to a slightly higher, but I don't think I need it. I think streaming right now, 1080 60, everything seems fine. I guess I'll have to just see what the cost of these new plans is to see if it justifies moving to a better plan. Maybe they'll reduce the cost of the old ones and then it'll make more sense to bump to a new one. I don't know. So that's happening in mid-September. Anyway, look, I'm going to grab myself a coffee. Just might take a little while to get into this. I'm just feeling a little down here. Some caffeine is going to help, I hope. So I'll be right back with a caffeine injection right into my head via my mouth. And then we'll take a look at this Hard Rock Cafe stuff. Wow, surfing. Haven't been surfing in a long while. Cheers' coffee obtained. Yeah, man, watching that footage, that's like 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. And I haven't been out there and it's killing me. I got to get back out there. My stitches, well, can't really see them, I suppose. The stitches have come out, but one of them didn't really stitch this bottom one here. So they had to put like a couple of steri strips on there and then another few days, keep it out of the water. That's a waterproof bandage. But I should be good for surfing this weekend. Got to go back on Friday to get what's coming up. I got something else on Friday. I got to go back on Friday. Yeah, Friday. Oh no. Yeah, so it should. Hopefully, you know what'll happen. It'll be like, yeah, you're good to go, and then it'll be like, no waves. That's the irony of surfing, though. So let's move on and observe this Hard Rock Hotel collapse video. This one here, it looks like, now this did happen 2 years ago. This is a channel called Dark Records, and it's had 1.8 million views. So this is obviously a pretty big story of this hotel collapse, a brand new hotel collapse. 3 people died, dozens injured, and a city left in shock. Then after that, there is this, the Hard Rock Hotel collapse in New Orleans by BrightSunFilms. This is, Amrex on YouTube. How you doing? How you going, Amrex? Good to see you. Again, this has had 1.5 million, I beg your pardon, that's the subs to the channel. This has had just under 1 million views a year ago. So there's obviously a big story here, right? And it escaped me. I mean, why would I know about this? I don't. But I want to learn. Let's take a learn and let's see how we can learn.
3 lives lost, dozens injured, and a city left in shock. The New Orleans Hard Rock Hotel collapsed in a catastrophic event that changed the skyline.
Wait. Why does it look... It's not finished, right? So it collapsed while it's being built, because that's not finished. Oh, that's a building. That's literally the building, right? You know the word building? I live in a building. No, you don't. You live in a built. That's a building. It's being built. Well, actually, it was being built before it fell over. So this is a manufacturing, or this is not a manufacturing. This is a engineering problem. They didn't engineer it correctly, and it fell down during the construction period. Holy shitballs.
Rock Hotel collapsed in a catastrophic event that changed the skyline of the city forever.
Whoa.
Panic ensues among a group of tourists as a sudden loud rumble shakes their streetcar. They watch a giant steel structure fall from the construction site directly in front of them. The crash is followed by a massive cloud of dust that engulfs the entire area.
Heavy.
Abruptly, a lively street transforms into a chaotic scene. Tourists and disoriented passersby are breaking through the cloud of dust, trying to find a safe corner of the street. No one knows what happened.
I mean, it's not well, I mean, it is surprising, but when you think about how many buildings are being built, it's a wonder more don't fall down like during construction. Like things that go up and get put on other things. When I built sandcastles, they never lasted, you know. I'm not saying that they're building sandcastles out here, but I'm just saying it's not, gravity is what I'm getting at, gravity.
And if they're still in danger, only after the dust settles do they discover the top half of the nearby Hard Rock Hotel construction site in ruins. From the unfinished building, dozens of construction workers run out to the street.
If you were working that building, there is no way I would work in construction ever again after that. That's as horrifying as, I'm not going to say it, a shark attack.
Them injured, and people are still inside. The scene is absolutely disastrous. It appears the structure collapsed on its own.
Oh my God.
But the investigation into the accident would reveal the dark secret of how New Orleans buildings are constructed.
Somebody's fucked up badly here, right? Somebody's done calculation wrong material, wrong time of the day to install, wrong temperature, something majorly wrong. How come only 3 died? If there people were working on that building, they're very lucky there wasn't more deaths. Holy shit.
Building was not what Hard Rock Hotel investors envisioned when they revealed the project. At the site of the former Woolworths store, they planned to erect a $70 million hotel.
Wait, they got Woolworths in America? Got any Americans in the chat right now? You guys got a Woolworths over there. Like, do you call it Woolies, Big W? Is it the same brand? I thought Woolworths was Australian only.
With 350 rooms, it was expected to be profitable to both investors and the neighborhood. Still, the project encountered controversy and lengthy delays from the beginning of the development process. Only some were happy to see a brand new shiny 19-story building at the very edge of the historic French district. Concerned citizens feared that the hotel would disrupt the architectural entirety of the neighborhood. The project was, in fact, severely violating city regulations. The 190-foot-tall hotel was to be built in the 70-foot limit zone.
So they must have got a permit to go that high.
Ultimately,
there's a Woolworths in New Zealand. Amrex, yeah, I was definitely aware that New Zealand had it, but I did not think it was. I never thought it made it stateside. I know that there's Woolworths and there's Coles in New Zealand as well, but they call it. It's just called New World in New Zealand. In Australia, it used to be Coles New World, and then it just got rebranded to Coles. And I guess at the same time, the New Zealand version rebranded to New World.
the investor won the dispute because of the project's profitability. In February 2018, while the site was still making little progress, they altered the original plans and increased the height of the building to 205 feet.
Oh, shit.
However, this time, the New Orleans City Council found that the investor was pushing too far with their plans and voted to adhere to the previously approved height of 190 feet.
Now you're going to hear that they went and built it at 205 instead.
Whatever modifications the designer made had to be kept within the already established proportions. It seemed like a reasonable decision, but in reality, it paved the way for the disaster. The city council's ruling didn't hinder the construction progress. The building's designer, Heaslip Engineering, decided...
Heaslip? Seriously? Heaslip is your engineering business name? Heaslip. That's not good, right? He slips and falls. What the hell? Heaslip Engineering. That's almost comical if it's not meant to be funny, but Heaslip.
Decided to make changes along the way. 8 days before the collapse, the workers poured the last batch of concrete into a metal decking structure. On October 12, 2019, the construction of the 18...
Is this actual footage of the thing being built? Or is that just stock footage? I mean, it looks like it could be it, right? Hard to tell, though.
Floor was in progress. It was yet...
Amrex, you can check out the Versailles wedding hall disaster, another engineering failure. You may like it after. Amrex, if you want, there's a Discord server that people put links in. So if you want me to watch something and react on stream, go to my Discord and there's a section for that. The Discord should be, you're on YouTube, right? Well, you can find it through my link tree, I hope. My Discord server's in there, I think. If not, it's just called Gives a Minute. You can find it by searching. But yeah, that's where everybody puts their requests for React stream content.
Another ordinary working day with crews engaged at all levels. But 2 hours into the workday, the building began to tremble. Before the workers realized where the shake was coming from, the northern corner of the structure started to collapse.
No way.
In a domino effect, it dragged along the entire top edge.
No earthquake, just the building starts wobbling? There must have been something that triggered it, right?
One after another, the 10 topmost floors of that section crumbled under the weight of collapsing concrete slabs. Huge chunks of concrete showered Rampart Street, forcing passers-by to run for cover. The massive steel construction of the temporary elevator attached to the building lost
That guy got out, right? This guy, well, you can't see because of the timeline, the scrub bar, but the guy down here gets out, right? Surely.
support and toppled.
That's bad, right,
It
Netsky?
smashed into the
It's horrible, man. Horrible.
street and the Sanger Theater across the way. The building collapsed on a Saturday morning when the street was relatively quiet.
Saturday morning, so not many workers working on it. I guess that's a blessing in disguise. Less people on the site.
Just a few vehicles and pedestrians. Fortunately, no passers-by were injured.
Wow.
But the workers inside were not that lucky. The collapse caught them by complete surprise.
No
A
shit.
surveillance video from a nearby building shows a group of men working on the top of the hotel when it started to give way. It took them a couple of seconds from when the corner of the building began to cave in before they started running away. In a state of panic and unsure of what would happen next, they ran to the opposite side of the structure.
Yeah, what would you do? What would you do at that point? You'd have to just, run away from it. I found it. What's the name of the section? I think it's called Gives Videos to Watch or Gives React Videos. Just scroll through. You'll find it there.
Another worker was too close to the section that collapsed and unable to escape in time. Numerous workers were inside the building, with a significant portion working in the section that ultimately collapsed. Only a group of employees on the ground floor managed to evacuate the premises. It was only after they had reached a safe distance that they saw the building in ruins.
You think life's bad when you look at this shit. It puts it in perspective, doesn't it? These people just went to work, and the thing that they were working on collapsed. Fuck.
They were left to wonder about the fate of their colleagues who were still inside. It took several minutes after the disaster for an alarm to be raised for the emergency crews in the city. A dispatcher broadcast an alert to the New Orleans Fire Department.
Floors collapsed down. The reports of someone possibly trapped in the building.
The first responders' reaction was swift. They rushed to the scene, knowing that in such disasters, every second could save the life of a person trapped under the rubble. Once there, they stormed into the building and started sweeping it for survivors.
On the 5th or 6th floor, we're going to have people trapped up there. We're going to have to get a ladder truck.
The further up they went, the more
Yeah, that's it. Amrex, it gives General Linky Poos. Yes, that's the one. Sorry, I should have remembered with a name like that. General Linky Poos. That's what we called it. Thank you, man. There, chuck it in there.
serious the situation was. On the 8th floor, they found the first person trapped in ruins.
And we're on the 8th floor. We got one person trapped by rubble. We're attempting to get him out right now. He is still alive.
How the hell did they get in there and like not trigger more collapsing? Because that's always the fear when the structure's unstable. If you go in there, you risk the whole thing going, right? And there's a guy in there. Damn.
It was a steel worker, Derek Pate. Pate was lucky to survive the collapse, as the first responders were initially reluctant to save him. They feared that the building could crumble further, and at the point where he was trapped.
Wow.
It was only at the insistence of other workers that the rescuers ultimately got him out.
Looks like broken legs. He would have sued that building's engineering firm, Heaslip, for a pretty penny, I'm sure of it.
With each floor up,
That's one blessing.
destruction was more severe and more challenging to handle. The fear grew that the tragedy was fatal.
Moving up to the 9th floor, we got one person heavily trapped. Not sure on condition of the victim.
Wow.
We're getting a report from one of the workers. There might be somebody on the roof, so we're going to go head up there.
The reporters quickly spread the news about the accident, reaching the workers' families. Hundreds of frightened wives and mothers gathered at the scene to wait for their loved ones to be recovered from the building. In the immediate response, the news reported one casualty, but the rescue teams feared there could be more. Among the people who came to the site was Nova Magretti. She and her sister-in-law camped in front of the construction site deep into the night, refusing to leave until her husband, Anthony,
Wow.
came out. Anthony was not even supposed to work that day, but he signed in as the family was in need of money. time passed and more workers were evacuated, some of them being taken away by ambulance. But Nova was still waiting for her husband. Anthony would never come out, though. His body was recovered the following day, making him the first identified victim of the disaster.
It's a bit hard, the way they said that. He would never come out. They found his body the next day. So he did come out. They found his body, giving her at least closure. The way that they worded that, he would never come out until the next day when they found his body. Sometimes these are a bit over dramatized, but I mean, yeah, she lost her husband. I'm not making light of it, but just the way that they described it. Here, listen.
Anthony would never come out, though. His body was recovered the following day.
They obviously meant he would never come out alive, but yeah. Do you see the protests yesterday? Yes, I haven't really paid much to it. I know that there was protests in all states of Australia, but I haven't really paid much to it. There's something else that's been protesting myself. But that's maybe. I know I just told you to put links in the linky poo section, but maybe if you've got a link for that, because it is kind of like topical and current, if you want to put that in the YouTube, or I don't know if you can put links in the, actually, I don't think you can put links in the YouTube chat. If you want to swing across to the Kick or something and chuck a link in, if you got a link, because I wouldn't mind, I think I wouldn't mind getting a summary of what went down on those protests. I mean, it's Australia. It's my country. I don't know. I know that there was immigration protests. That's all I know.
Making him the first identified victim of the disaster. The same day, the responders found another body, but could not recover it. Once the rescue mission was over, one more worker was missing. Neither his location nor status was known. It would later turn out that he died. Since only a portion of the building collapsed, many workers avoided injury. Of the 30 who were hospitalized, all but one were released the following day.
Wow.
To the agony of their families, they were left to lie in the building ruins until the city found a way to demolish the structure safely.
So what happened?
The tragedy shocked the public. The men working on the site were outraged.
Fully.
It turned out that the disaster wasn't as unexpected as everyone thought. For days, workers feared that the building would come down on them.
What?
Soon, the people of New Orleans were to find out the harrowing truth behind the suspicions.
It's got to be this engineering firm, right? Heaslip. They've got to be responsible. They cut corners, or they changed plans and didn't inform anybody. They were working off wrong plans, or numbers were incorrect, didn't carry the one, that kind of thing.
The tragedy at the Hard Rock Hotel was an unprecedented accident in the modern history of New Orleans. The case of the building collapsing on its own caught the attention of the authorities and the broader public. While rescue operations were still in progress, the Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, started investigating the causes of the collapse. In April 2020, OSHA cited Heaslip Engineering, Citadel Builders, Hub Steel, and 8 subcontractors for safety and health violations at the construction site of a planned Hard Rock Hotel in downtown New Orleans. Most of the blame was put on Heaslip Engineering LLC for willfully making severe design flaws that affected the structural integrity of the building on the upper floors. These included under-designed floor beams on the 16th floor regarding their load capacity, and exceeded spans between the cantilevers on the 17th and 18th floor.
Hey, thanks, Knetskis. Here's a link he posted. Oh, is that the protests links? Thanks, Netskis. Okay, Hugo Lennon Ozpill speaks at the March for Australia rally, Melbourne. Okay, cool. I'll grab that. I will grab that because that is contextual, as in that it happened yesterday. I know we've got other things good to go, but I think that should be, once we deal with this Hard Rock Cafe, tragedy. Oh, you know what? That's not that. And by the way, it won't work. Vasali's wedding hall disaster? Okay, so there's 2 things going on in the chat. I'm confused. This one, Netsky, don't give me that one. Thank you for giving it to me, but take it back. If he's got anything to do with the protests from yesterday, that's not related. And by the way, I won't be able to watch that anyway because apparently I got a sign. Well, I could watch it in the Brave browser trouser, but so I just want to go back a bit here to hear exactly what was the problem with these beams in the 16th floor.
That affected the structural integrity of the building on the upper floors. These included underdesigned floor beams on the 16th floor regarding their load capacity.
Underdesigned beams, so beams that weren't strong enough for the 2 floors that are going to go above them?
Underdesigned floor beams on the 16th floor regarding their load capacity and exceeded spans between the cantilevers on the 17th and 18th floors. Collectively, the companies were fined $315,536 in penalties.
That's all they got fined? $315,000? 3 people died and they only got fined $300,000? That doesn't seem right.
Eastlip Engineering denied all allegations. The public was eager to go deeper into OSHA's findings and reveal how the disaster happened and whether there was a way to prevent it. A hint was given by a video published by one of the Hard Rock Hotel construction site workers. The video, made just a few days before the collapse, clearly showed distorted shoring poles under the weight of the concrete slab they were holding.
Whoa.
Several of these were recorded throughout the entire floor.
There is no way in hell you'd have me in there. If I saw beams that were flexing like that, bending, you're a construction worker, I'd be getting another job. I'd go and work in the kitchen. There's no way I'd be in that building. I'd be like, nah, the video shows it, I'm out. Wow.
Some appearing to be heavily bent.
Now you could say, yeah, but they're not, but those aren't weight bearing, but they're weight bearing while the building's being constructed and then they get removed, obviously, or reinforced. But if they're bending, that's a signal, right? That's a signal that something needs to be done straight away. They're not coping with what they're supposed to be supporting.
Worried that the slab lacked proper structural support.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I can see when something is sitting on something and that thing is warped out of shape, that means that it's too heavy for it. You either have to reinforce it or support more elsewhere. But that's frightening to see.
One of them, Delmer Joel Ramirez Palma, repeatedly expressed his co-workers' concerns to superiors, but was always sent off and told to go back to work. Another worker who claimed to have expressed his concerns regarding the structural integrity of the building was Brad Morrow, a supervisor for one of the contractors. Morrow took dozens of photos of the improperly fitted steel support beams and showed them to his superiors. There was no response.
Wow.
In the end, Morrow left the project after the 10th floor was built. The findings sparked a further public investigation. David Hammer, investigative journalist.
You're making this up. This guy's name's Hammer. This dude's named David Hammer. Next, there's going to be a guy coming in called Drillbit. Fuck, man. It feels like they're making this up.
For the New Orleans TV station WWL-TV, made an inquiry of his own by getting insight into public records concerning the building of the Hard Rock Hotel. He also consulted experienced construction experts in his research and came to some stunning revelations. The starting point of the investigation was a video posted by a passerby that shows the 17th and the 18th floor.
How was that person filming right at that point? Like, what would they have been doing to be filming? This is early on a Saturday morning, like 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning. This guy just happens to be randomly videoing that street?
Revelations.
I mean, it's already starting to collapse. Maybe he was just there and he quickly turned his flip phone up. That was back in the flip phone days.
Starting point of the investigation was a video posted by a passerby that shows the 17th.
Which videos are you wanting? If Amrex has posted anything about the March for Australia riots, that's the stuff that we'll bring forward for today's viewing.
And the 18th floor, the two topmost floors collapsing together. It indicated that it was the 16th floor that caved in. Further investigation of the document showed that the decision to replace the steel beams with thinner ones was made in 2018. Namely, the designer made changes to the plan at the time according to the investor's wish to have a penthouse with high ceilings. The modified plan exceeded the approved height of the building by 15 feet. However, since the city decided not to approve the height modification, designers resorted to what they believed was a creative solution. They replaced the 21-inch thick supporting steel beams on the 16th and 17th floor with 10-inch thick, thus gaining 11 inches of clearance per floor.
Now, of course, they would say that we used 10-inch beams, but they were still rated to hold what was above them. That's what they'd say, right? That's what they'd be claiming. But I guess there's a blessing here in the sense that this fell down while it was being constructed. Imagine it got fully built and everybody moved in. I mean, Hard Rock Cafe, it's mainly hotels, but there might be some accommodations. Imagine everybody was in there and it's trading as business, and then the whole thing comes down. That could be worse, right? I went to the March for Australia rally. Really, what really happened? Thank you, Netskis. Let me grab that out there. Thank you, dude. I'll grab that linky poo, copy the linky poop, and I'll pop it in the chisel chat tab machine up top here. So thank you for getting that out. This is from a channel called chrisbooy. We will get to it. But we are going to explore both of these videos first, but we will get to that. So yeah, we're finding out now that they changed the width of the beams above the penthouse to get more clearance for those larger structures, and that's what caused the collapse.
Designers resorted to what they believed was a creative solution. They replaced the 21-inch thick supporting steel beams on the 16th and 17th floor with 10-inch thick, thus gaining 11 inches of clearance per floor. The modification wouldn't have compromised the structural integrity of the building if designers had added more supporting columns.
Yeah, thanks, Netsky. Some clips are only 2 minutes, but that one's 12. Yeah, that'll give us a good rundown of what all went down. Cheers, man.
And subsequently reduced the span between the beams. Instead of the original 11 columns, modified plans should have included at least 24 columns in the collapsed section. There were only 12. Moreover, these 12 columns were thinner and had less load capacity than the original columns.
Damn.
To gain more space, designers intentionally overstressed the 16th floor. That was the reason why the shoring poles from the video were bent. The floor was too heavy for the structure underneath it. To add to
So the engineers, these guys just made a decision to use material that's not strong enough. They must have researched that though. I mean, it's not their first building, right? Not their first rodeo. They must have known what they were doing, surely.
the underdesign of the top floor structure, engineers also replaced the original metal decking with one of lower quality. Metal decking, a sheet of high-performance galvanized steel, is used in the construction of composite concrete floor slabs by pouring concrete onto the metal deck to create a durable, integrated floor. Original building plans included heavier and sturdier 18-gauge metal deckings for top floors, which were at some point replaced with cheaper but thinner 22-gauge decking. Experts engage.
Is it a cost-saving thing that they did this for? Like what? Like all these changes to thinner and less? Is it because they didn't have the money?
By WWL TV found out about it by browsing the mail correspondence between designers and their suppliers. However, no such alterations in the building design were ever submitted to the city. Evidence provided by Brad Morrow, the supervisor who protested against the quality of work on the building, was the most shocking visually. Morrow took dozens of photos showing vertical steel beams that were not connected to supporting columns. With beams attached to only one column, the structure was twice as weak.
Wait. These aren't connected to vertical columns? What does that mean? It looks... What did he say?
Vertical steel beams that were not connected to supporting columns.
Not connected to supporting columns. Is he talking about this, how it stops there? I don't get that. I'm not a construction dude, but...
With beams attached to only one column, the structure was twice as weak. All of these flaws ultimately contributed to the massive underdesign of the 16th floor, which became overstressed once the 18th floor slab was made. On the day of the disaster, it simply gave in and collapsed.
Yo, Dalsky, how you doing, man? What a do, Daleskins? What's cracking?
With all the facts that led to the tragedy revealed, a series of questions arose. How come no one noticed them earlier?
How come the engineer got the plans through without, like, the other, like, don't the contractors have to agree? And somebody's shaking somebody's hand, right? Netsky's meaning that the beams they had are temporary holdups. Yeah, this is your link, Dale. This is horrible, man. From New Orleans, yeah.
There were the city building inspectors. They should have seen these structural flaws. A joint WWL-TV Times-Picayune investigation conducted in February 2020 found that the 3 city inspectors responsible for overseeing the Hard Rock Hotel construction repeatedly failed to appear at the site.
You walked right past there 1 week before it happened. So it was your fault then. Yeah, shit.
Example, on 6 instances during 2019, Inspector Julie Tweeter filed inspection reports even though GPS data from her vehicle showed she was nowhere near the construction site. On October 1st...
What the hell? This is a city inspector filing reports about being at the site, but the GPS mapping of her phone showed that she wasn't anywhere near it? Holy shit.
Vehicle showed she was nowhere near the construction site.
Wow.
On October 1st, she was supposed to inspect the subfloor of the 18th floor rooftop. Instead, she never appeared on site, but nevertheless approved of the pouring of concrete, which then happened on October 4th.
Wow.
8 days later, the building collapsed.
So they're going to get sued right up
For
the
months,
wazoo.
the partially collapsed hotel remained untouched as city authorities and the investor debated between using explosives for implosion or traditional demolition.
Your farts are powerful. They weaken the structure integrity. I would have gone with something like, I'm so good looking that when I walk past, everybody turned to look at me, and just the way that the movement of their head, the wind turned, and that's where I would have gone.
Meanwhile, closures of surrounding streets significantly impacted nearby
For you,
businesses.
not for me. Not saying I'm good looking. I'm saying you are. We don't know what you look like though. Blue screen, static and all.
Along with Anthony Magretti, 2 other workers, Jose Ponce Ariola and Quinion Wimberly, lost their lives. Their bodies were buried so deep under the rubble that the rescuers could not recover them.
Pretty
The public
fortunate.
outcry was enormous, begging authorities to carry out the recovery efforts as soon as possible. For this reason, the city ultimately decided to demolish the building in a traditional fashion. 10 months after the collapse, the bodies of Jose Ponce Ariola and Quinion Wimberly were finally recovered and returned to their families.
What a horrible job digging through that rubble to find human remains 10 months after they died. That would not be fun.
January 2021, the demolition was completed and debris clearing began. In response to the disaster, the New Orleans District Attorney filed charges only against the 3 building inspectors on counts of filing false public records and malfeasance in office.
They'd go to prison, right?
Additionally, 40 injured workers filed a lawsuit against the developers and construction
Fully.
contractors.
That council inspector that said that she approved the pouring of the slab, she'd go to prison for that, surely. If they, which they did, they found her GPS records to prove that she wasn't at the site. Your girlfriend is shy like me. Kidding, not shy, just value our privacy. I was talking about, oh yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, sorry, man. Yes.
3.5 years after the accident, both trials are still in process.
Oh wow, this is ongoing.
Delmer Palma, the worker who reported the flaws to his superiors and one of the key witnesses, was detained as an undocumented worker and ultimately deported to his native Honduras.
Whoa, that's interesting twist. So this guy was an undocumented immigrant working and he took photos. So are they going to approve the use of those images in the case because it was from an undocumented worker who's now since been deported? That's an interesting twist. Interesting.
The site where the unfinished Hard Rock Hotel once stood now lies barren, telling a tragic tale of how cost-cutting measures resulted in the loss of 3 workers' lives. Watch this episode next if you found
that's horrible. We do have a second video on the same topic, though. This is important to get another perspective. This is from BrightSunFilms.
In early 2018, a relatively small parcel of land along the iconic Canal Street in New Orleans finally saw shovels in the ground
Now,
after years
this
of
could also just be another AI-generated video. We'll have to make our decision, but
proposals. The 350-room Hard Rock Hotel was well underway, and by 2019 was just topping off, rising nearly 20 floors. I should know, as during the filming of my documentary Closed for Storm, I was there. What I wouldn't know is that less than a month later, the structure would suffer a catastrophic partial collapse, sending debris flying, killing 3 workers, and opening up a mountain of legal scrutiny.
hey, Fast Abdul on YouTube. I'm here for the tech. How you doing, man? Haven't seen you for a while. How's it going? Fast Abdul, everybody on YouTube. Hexagon from way back. Good to see you, man. He's always here for the tech. And, well, not here for the charts because they're down and to the left. Anyway, good to see you, man.
Sponsor. My name is Jake, and in this episode of Cancelled, we'll take a look at why this happened, who was to blame, and what ended up happening to the Hard Rock Hotel, New Orleans. This video is sponsored by Nebula. Get 40% off an annual 1031 Canal.
Hey, by the way, Dale, now that you're here, okay, so you guys have a Woolworths in America. I'm assuming it's not the same one, right? You know what? We've got the machine here. We got the ChatGPT machine. Let me just use it and find out. Unfull screen that. Yes, we do. Yeah, but it's not the Australian one, right? Because we've got Woolworths is like I'm going to call it an institution in this country. You know, it's been like the backbone of like supermarkets and shopping, and yeah, it's massive in Australia, and I'm almost positive that it's a different one that you guys have. Let's ask the machine though. Is the Woolworths in the USA the same as the Australian one? Let's see. Good question. They're not the same company. Woolworths USA, FW Woolworth Company, founded in 1879 by Frank Winfield Woolworth, famous as a 5 and dime store, cheap variety store, expanded worldwide, including the UK, Germany, South Africa, etc. South Africa, okay. In the US, Woolworths closed its last store in 1997. Now it's called Foot Locker. Interesting. Australian Woolworths, because we have Foot Locker in Australia as well, founded in 1924 in Sydney, completely separate from the US chain. Founders just liked the Woolworths name and used it. There's no legal connection. Okay. Do you want me to explain how the South African Woolworths fits into the story? It's another twist. Yes, I do. There's a connection to South Africa these days. All right, here's the South African Woolworths twist. Woolworths South Africa, Woolies SA, not to be confused with South Australia, founded in 1931 in Cape Town, which is just after the Sydney one, okay, and well and truly after the US version. Like Australia, they simply adopted the Woolworth name, wasn't trademarked in South Africa at the time. Today, Woolworths South Africa is more like a hybrid of Marks and Spencer, that's a UK supermarket, high-end clothing, food, and home goods. It's one of South Africa's most trusted retail brands. Okay. So in summary, USA Woolworths is dead. Dead? That's an interesting way to describe that. It's now called Foot Locker. Australian Woolworths, huge supermarket chain called Woolies. South African Woolworths, premium department store, and supermarché. They're all the same name, but legally different. Okay, well, how about this then? How about is the Foot Locker in the States the same as the Aussie one, because we got that there as here as well. Yep, Foot Locker is the same company in both US and Australia. Origin, Foot Locker started in the US in 74, 1 year before I was born. That makes it 51. As part of the old F.W. Woolworth company, yes. When Woolworths shut its stores in 1997, Foot Locker became the company's main brand. Now, it's a shoe store, right? The parent company is still called Foot Locker Inc., headquartered in New York. In Australia, Foot Locker entered the Aussie market in the late 1990s. It's fully owned and operated by the same Foot Locker Inc. that runs the US. Okay. So if you buy from Foot Locker Australia, you're dealing with the same company as Foot Locker USA, just under a local branch. Okay, there's our ChatGPT Learn for the day skis. Let's continue on with what we were discussing. That is the collapse of the Hard Rock Cafe.
Street has had a storied history like much of downtown New Orleans. Since the 1930s, a Woolworths store had occupied the land, adorned with beautiful Art Deco design motifs.
You saying I was muted? No, that's not possible. It's muted at your end. Shit, I'm glad I didn't see that comment when you said it, because I would have had a heart attack. I've been muted for 58 minutes? You're joking.
It was a popular downtown department store. It was also significant due to its role in 1960, as Woolworths Diner was the site of a lunch sit-in, protesting the racial disparity in New Orleans. It was the first one to happen within the city, and it started a wave of protesting against Jim Crow laws across the area. Ultimately, the store would close in the mid-90s as a part of a company-wide decline, and the space would sit vacant for years, changing hands a few times until 2005, when the structure was flooded following Hurricane Katrina. Still label-scarred with Woolworth, its interiors were destroyed, and would continue to sit that way, abandoned and awaiting new development. By 2007, the building and its land was purchased for $3.6 million by an organization called Kalis Companies. They were a decently large development company in New Orleans, with many of their key executives made up of the Kalis family. The plan was to build a large condo building on the site, ultimately asking city
Amrex, I heard the Woolies mud cake is popular in Australia. Mud cake from Woolies. I gonna plead ignorant on that. I don't know what that is. I'm sure that it's a thing. Chocolate mud cake? Right. The cakes and stuff, they're nothing to write home about, but they're not bad. Everyone says Woolies. That's right. Yeah, we call it Woolies. Or big W, right?
Raised the height limits from 70 feet to 190 feet. It was 2011 by this point, and after many delays in getting the votes needed by council, the proposal was finally passed. However, it wasn't without controversy, especially 2 years later, as in December of 2013.
Interestingly, that this doco mentions this Kalis company, which that name didn't even come up in the other one, I don't think. But then again, these are just the guys who bought the land and the building space, right? 3.9 mil. Doesn't seem that much. 3.9, I mean, it's a fucking lot of money, but to have a whole block on a corner in New Orleans for 3.9 mil?
It was revealed that Praveen Kalis, one of the main family members overseeing this project, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit theft, admitting that he stole money from the Katrina recovery program. This was a very bad look, but city councilors essentially looked the other way, as they saw this as just one family member committing that crime and saw great potential in what they were trying to do at the 1031 site.
So they're like, yeah, you stole money from the Katrina fund, which is meant to go to like rebuilding after a hurricane. But you're going to build a building down there on that site that's been vacant for so long. Yeah, no, you can. We don't care that you stole that shit. Your family's going to, it's not you. You're just a bad egg. I see many TikToks about Woolies cakes. Yeah, okay. I don't think I've had one. I mean, I might have, but I can't. Nothing stands out as me remembering how rad Woolies cakes are.
Proposed development could inject much-needed economic fuel into the city. And
New Orleans is a very fun town.
So the project moved forward, and in October of 2014, it started with the demolition of the former Woolworth building. At the cost of $70 million, the proposed structure was honestly pretty ugly. It was visualized as a large 19-story tower, consisting of over 255 condos, most of which with small windows and all covered with blue and beige cladding. Some ground-level retail stores and a large open lobby area would line canal. This proposal was ultimately revised by the time the former Woolworths store was demolished. Replacing it would be a similarly sized tower set to contain the same amount of condos within. This version, while still looking pretty dated...
So it's not the Hard Rock Cafe. It was a residential apartment block with a Hard Rock Cafe in the basement or in the bottom floors. Okay.
Had some better amenities like outdoor terraces, a rooftop pool, and balconies. With the land now cleared and presumably ready for development, nothing really happened. The site was dormant, with a lack of financing cited as the main issue. The parcel would continue to sit that way, abandoned for a few more years as developers searched for additional development partners. They actually found one in February of 2018, officially announcing their partnership with Hard Rock International, a massive hospitality company with a chain of restaurants, hotels, and casinos. This would turn the development into the Hard Rock Hotel New Orleans, and now blend a hotel into the development proposal, including 350 hotel guest rooms, but still retaining some of the private condos, leaving just 62 of them. They would now become the residences at the Hard Rock Hotel New Orleans. 2 ballrooms would also be injected into this plan, totaling 12,000 square feet of dynamic meeting space.
I don't think that's unusual to have residential occupants in the Hard Rock Cafe. I'm pretty certain. I can't remember, but I'm pretty certain in some of the ones we went to in definitely in Europe, in Germany, there was residence as well as the Hard Rock.
To tie off the whole project, a few restaurants and a rooftop bar and lounge would literally top off the hotel and residence. Really, the exterior design of the structure didn't really change that much. In fact, the concept art for the building just saw Hard Rock logos slapped onto it. Now, some further height requests were made, but the
Hey,
city
Dale, that's
denied.
interesting. New Orleans real estate after Katrina was low value for over a decade. So it's a good place, or it was a good place to buy after the hurricane. Interesting. Because of the fear of another one, I guess.
We'll talk about that later. Nevertheless, with the plan locked in and financing secured, construction finally started on the Hard Rock Hotel New Orleans. While an opening date of spring 2019 was rather looking unlikely, construction was well underway by March of 2018. As the building began to rise along Canal Street, some problems were beginning to rise with it. The opening date would be pushed back to 2020, but as construction picked up and the structure began taking shape, in September of 2019, the electricians union hired for the project began protesting the conditions on the construction site.
Right, same as Christchurch after the earthquakes there in 2000. Damn, was that before I lived there? The Christchurch earthquakes, I feel like they were before I moved over there. No, after, 2010. 2011, right on, there you go. 2011, yeah. I lived there originally in 2000, then again in 2022. I wish I had the money back then. Yeah. Interesting. You know what else I'm seeing when I'm watching this? I'm thinking how some people, myself included, have made videos of things without knowing that they were videoing something. Like I've got just cut off from that for a second, but I've got video of like looking out of windows in a bar in Sydney and just filming the monorail coming up off Bathurst Street with a sunset behind it. I just liked it. I thought it looks cool. The sun hitting the monorail, it's all golden, and there's this monorail driving up. We didn't know at the time that, you know, the monorail in Sydney, they're going to pull it out because it was a big furphy and it was a disaster, blah, 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 blah. They ripped it out of the ground and it doesn't exist anymore. There's only like one little relic of it, like an old station in one of these buildings that still exists. If you tell people there used to be a monorail running around Sydney in the downtown area, you'd be like, no, what are you talking about? Yet I've got video of it like on these tapes, one of these tapes. But people that shot video of like just these downtown areas with construction, you don't know what you're filming. Like, you know, you might just get this great shot of day 115 of the build, and that could be the day when these dudes change the level 16 to the other side, and then you don't know, but you've got this amazing footage that could come like super important. People that film shit in public is what I'm saying, that they don't know that they might be doing a service. And everybody's got phones now, you know, you can always film everything. And I'm not saying you should go and film it, but I'm just saying if you do film stuff, hang on to it and just file it, because if something happens later on, it might be necessary. I have video of this construction when I was there. Right. See, you were there, right? Yeah. You stay less from 2 blocks, walk past there several times. The thing is, you wouldn't even, let's be frank, you wouldn't have even thought about filming it, but you just might have coincidentally got it behind you. Like, there's always buildings being built, like in cities, like Sydney, there's buildings going up and down all the time. Like, I don't pay any attention to them, but they are there in the background. Yeah, and so now when one collapses because the engineers fucked it right up, it's amazing to think, hang on a second, I was there in that year. I probably got footage of that. Yeah, I like stuff like that. It's cool.
Claimed that project leaders had hired unlicensed and unqualified electricians, as well as miscategorized contract workers.
Like this drone shot, right? There's no way that this drone shot was shot for this building. This is a shot of Canal Street, New Orleans, just for the sake of it. But there it is. There's the building as it's being built. I thought Hendrik might find this interesting. Yeah, he's probably still hungover from his birthday yesterday. He did. I sent him a message on his birthday, but yeah, I guess he was busy with his connections to architecture. Right on.
Leaving them without insurance. Now, other sheer signs of negligence and likely critical errors and decisions were made during this time. And of course, we'll talk about those later. But workers within were taking troubling videos of temporary shoring poles bending after the penthouse floor's concrete had been poured.
Damn.
180 feet below was me. I was actually out on Canal Street with a few of my colleagues shooting some B-roll for my documentary. It's called Close for Storm, and it's about the history of the abandoned Six Flags New Orleans theme park. This was our second trip there, and we had just wrapped up one of the last interviews for the film. On one of our last days there, we had just decided to go out on the afternoon of September 18th to shoot some footage that we actually never ended up using. In the background of some of those shots,
there it is.
You can see the structure eerily still intact.
See what I'm saying? He didn't even know he was getting it. By the way, is that warping? Up here with my mouse on the left, is that's... No, I mean... It's kind of hard to tell because, I mean, these buildings are dead straight, but that's definitely got a bit of an angel on it, but it could be the design of that warp, right? It looks warped.
24 days later, on October 12th, 2019, disaster struck. At 9:12 a.m., the northern corner of the top floors suffered a catastrophic and sudden failure. Once the beams holding up the floors began to buckle, more and more critical supports began to fail. The enormous weight of these concrete floors began a domino effect and sent thousands of tons of steel and concrete pancaking on top of each other, especially with the added weight of heavy construction materials on the roof at the western corner. Construction workers flee from the collapse, and from the ground, Canal and Rampart Street is a disaster zone. The collapsing concrete floors cascade down the structure.
Do you know what I just thought watching this for now the second time? Can we just go back to this shot? This wide shot right here, what's very fortunate in my mind, see this crane? See my mouse here? This crane, it's very lucky that this crane didn't fall to the right-hand side down here. As it stands, it actually fell left, which is no surprise given what it's standing on is falling around behind it, falling down around it. So it went that way, and I think it actually connected with the building here, this roof. But had that have gone this way, there's a very high chance that it would have like fully messed up this side of the building and therefore bringing the whole thing down, like from the top down. So I think that's kind of like and by the way, that's where everybody was running to that side. So like, yeah, they're very fortunate that they managed to run that way and that crane didn't come down onto them as they were running, because then everybody would have died, right? Holy shit.
Tons of steel and concrete pancaking on top
Look at it wobbling,
especially with
way.
the added weight of heavy construction materials on the roof at the western corner. Construction workers flee from the collapse, and from the ground, Canal and Rampart Street is a disaster zone. The collapsing concrete floors cascade down
here
the
goes the
structure,
crane.
ripping through the exterior insulation.
My bad. It wasn't the crane. I thought that was the crane that fell down. It's not the crane. It's just the structure, the vertical structure. Okay.
Sending a large section of the facade tumbling down. The buck hoist or construction elevator detached from the structure and falls across Rampart Street, puncturing the roof.
I thought that was the crane, my bad. So the crane didn't come down, luckily. I mean, damn, dude.
Of the Sanger Theater. The whole collapse was only around 30 seconds, but the resulting damage was shocking. In the end, 30 people were injured, and tragically, 3 construction workers were killed. With the surrounding streets covered in dust, the construction site was in utter devastation. The collapse made national and even worldwide news, many of which brought in experts who were already very critical on how something like this can happen in our modern times. While officials began their search for who was responsible, the immediate concerns were what to do with the structure and how to get the trapped and deceased workers out of the building. Members of police and fire departments were worried about further collapse and justifiably assumed the entire hotel was completely unstable. Meanwhile, another massive—
Just another thought. Wouldn't those cranes have dash cam, like effect, not the same as dash cams, but some kind of internal cameras? There would be angles from that too, right?
Of concern was about the 2 cranes. They held their place as the building crumbled around them, but of course that caused a great deal of anxiety on how much longer they would stay like that. They could come crashing down at any time. It didn't help that
New Orleans is notorious for widespread corruption, government and police. Well, we hear about the council official who approved the concrete laying that wasn't even on site. They said they inspected it and it was good to go. They weren't even there.
Tropical storm Nestor was forming in the Gulf and could bring gusty winds to the area. So the city expedited their plans to remove the cranes and began work with a plan to carefully set off charges to fold the cranes over the existing tower.
Oh, wow.
Though it didn't exactly go to plan. Yeah, so on October 20th, just a little over a week after the initial collapse, those explosives went off, and while the west crane did fall onto the building, the east crane most certainly did not. It came crashing down onto Rampart Street, standing almost vertically. The collapse—
You know what? I reckon I've seen that footage before, and that's why I thought it was part of the collapse, but that was what they manufactured that to happen. Not quite exactly going down as they wanted, but I mean, they would have evacuated everybody. And
it came crashing down onto Rampart Street, standing almost vertically. The collapse didn't cause too much damage otherwise, and the city and their mayor turned to recovering the 2 bodies trapped within the structure and then getting it demolished altogether. Though that was a difficult task.
Imagine the job. Someone would have used probably a drone to deploy those explosives on the crane, right? That would have been a pretty sweet job to do. Drop explosives up on top of the crane via drone. That's cool.
As workers would later need to send in robots to chip away at pieces while dangling from carriages above. By early 2020, nothing substantial had been done. Protests then erupted on speeding up the demolition process. Weirdly enough, I was there once again during this time, filming the last few segments for my documentary. From various vantage points, I observed the partial collapse, and it was truly staggering on how massive it was. It was incredibly surreal to see, especially with a section of Canal Street closed because of it. By this point, the city had racked up a bill of well over $11 million. And despite a lawyer on behalf of 1031 Canal Development, the holding company set up for the hotel and owned by the Kalis companies, saying that they were paying that money off, the city claimed that they had not received a cent. These developers were also disagreeing with the city on who will lead the demolition and how it will all come down. But work finally then got started in March of 2020. First with the demolition.
Did you see that?
But work finally—
Look at this. Look at these steel girders literally just balancing on the edge of this collapsed concrete. Look at that. They're steel beams, right? These things, can you see my mouse? Make it bigger. Right at the top. I wish that mouse would always stay big. These beams right here, they're ready to fall, man. That's frightening. That stayed like that for like 10 months. Wow.
Finally then got started in March of 2020. First, with the demolition of the 2 historic buildings beside the site. They were taken down due to safety hazards, and by summer, crews began disassembling the mangled steel on the tower. After 10 months since the collapse, crews also recovered the final body that was trapped within the rubble. Aside from a small fire, serious demolition work got underway without any problems, and by the 1-year anniversary, much of the tower above the parking garage was slowly being taken down.
Wow.
By early 2021, the stronger concrete on the first few floors of the parking garage were chipped away, and the site was mostly cleared by April. This was a pretty massive accident that cost the lives of several people, injured others, and had altered the lives of the family members for those who were lost. As many claimed immediately after the accident, modern construction sites don't just collapse for one reason. There was serious neglect, and investigators wanted to find out.
I wonder if this version of this story will reveal anything that we haven't already heard. So we know about the Hey, Dougski. Hey, Gibbs, I'm back in Victoria now. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well, Doug. Good to see you, man.
Who was at fault. So the search was on. 1031 Developments and their owners, the Kalis family, were already facing multiple lawsuits, including one from the city of New Orleans. It was also revealed that Kalis had hired undocumented immigrants and committed other minor infractions. They obviously pled their innocence, stating it was material and engineering factors that led to the disaster. And, well, they're likely not wrong about that. In OSHA's report on the accident, a major design flaw was uncovered. See, the top 3 floors were always going to feature penthouses with higher ceilings. From the very start, developers got the approval to raise the height restriction
Instant lawsuits, right on. Yeah, fully. Instant lawsuits.
to 190 feet, which would not only allow for a taller building, but allow for these penthouses to have some extra room. However, once Hard Rock signed on to the project and added all of those extra amenities like a rooftop pool, Kalis went to the city again to raise the height another 10 feet, making the tower 200 feet in total. This would allow those penthouses to each have very tall 13-foot ceilings. However,
Got to have those high ceilings for those expensive penthouses that people like. High seats are cool. High ceilings are cool. Was this a TMU hotel, Dusky? Yeah, they give you a free one when you sign up. I always get those ads for the free iPad from TMU. It's like, no, you're not giving them away for free. You've got to subscribe to something to get that crap.
the city wasn't willing to give them any additional height allowances, and they were forced to keep that 190-foot restriction. But they still wanted to keep those high penthouse ceilings, and to do that, they would need to fit thinner beams that support the floors above.
Interesting.
Thinner beams for the floors means higher ceilings, getting to that 13-foot ceiling height despite the tower only being 190 feet. In addition to this, the decking, which is the metal sheets that concrete
Same as
floors
before.
would be poured
So
on top
we
of.
have learnt all this already, and this is the same structural sketchiness that's caused the fall. I wonder why the city hall didn't just approve them to go higher. Like there's other buildings that are higher than it. What's so wrong with it going a bit higher? Like, you could argue that, well, the city's at fault because they kept knocking us back from going up higher when there are other buildings all around us that are higher than that. That's a bit, nobody really mentioned that, but anyway.
Was originally slated for 16 gauge. However, as WWL-TV reports, without the approval from the city, it was changed to a much thinner 22 gauge, over 66% thinner, making the cost of the material much cheaper, but also far weaker. A change like this would be fine as long as the space between the walls and the steel beams were properly supported with additional columns. However, the final construction
Yeah, Doug, Dalesky, just waiting for a conspiracy nut to claim it's an inside job. Yeah. No, 5G caused it, man. They were putting 5G towers in there because, they needed better mobile reception. So the 5G is the reason.
Plans showed that only one extra support was put in for 2 floors. Engineers who spoke to WWL-TV claimed that those floors would likely need double the columns that were already in place. And the results of not doing so aren't all that hard to understand. If the space between the walls and the beams weren't supported, a heavy load in this vulnerable area made so by the thin decking could potentially cause catastrophic damage. And it may explain why these temporary shoring poles were beginning to bend. And there were even more errors identified.
Hey, thanks, Doug. 16 gauge is 1.6 mil, 22 gauge is 0.9 mil. Okay, cool. I'll be a nutter. Netskis, it's an inside job for the insurance. I mean, you might have something there. There may be something to be said for that. Yeah.
Balconies not having rebar in them like they probably should have, and when steel beams that were ordered came in short and the bolt holes weren't matching up, they were just welded together. According to OSHA, they did.
That's what they were saying before. I didn't understand it. The beams weren't long enough, and they just welded it to the other beam. They didn't bolt it together. But that's horrible, because then if there was like an earthquake or something, that's very, very concerning.
The bolt holes weren't matching up. They were just welded together. According to OSHA, they did not meet the specified load requirements. In fact, the stress load on them likely exceeded several 100% on what they were designed to withstand. There was also negligence on the city's end as well, as inspectors failed to make site visits even though they approved critical aspects of the construction, like the penthouse concrete pour. Investigations also found that some of the visits they actually made were done by unqualified city inspectors, signing off on stuff they didn't have a full understanding of.
Whoops.
The cherry on top was the fact that the New Orleans Permit Office doesn't have an engineer on staff that would look for issues in the submitted blueprint.
Shit. There's failure all over this thing. That's not actually such a nutter. Yeah, it's hard to know what these monkeys are up to. Yeah. Monkeys.
It's possible that if they did have someone there, they could have raised the red flag on these unsupported floors. OSHA moved forward with issuing serious fines against the project's engineer and the steel supplier. As for criminal charges, it wasn't exactly as swift as citizens and family members would have hoped. In June 2021, the lead investigator for the criminal case was abruptly fired by the New Orleans Inspector General due to, in my opinion, some silly reasons, like standing too close to the Deputy Inspector General during COVID social distancing, conducting work from her boyfriend's apartment even though she was quarantining after contracting the disease, and for a few other reasons, all of
So there's a COVID tie-in here as well? Shit.
which she had alibis for. Regardless, she did an enormous amount of work, and even finished her report, which she was going to recommend criminal charges at the time she was fired. This set the new investigators back, who had to build a brand new report and try and replicate some of her work. Meanwhile, the district attorney's office claimed that they wanted to hold people accountable. That's great, but they said they needed more evidence, which they claimed to be would be in OSHA's full unreleased report. The only problem was
the irony, Dale, you were there because you were fleeing Florida from a hurricane.
that OSHA was not going to hand over that report since it was being used in other litigation. This whole mess just tied up the system for literally years, and to the families of those who were lost detriment, it was announced that a grand jury decided there was not enough evidence to build a criminal case against anyone.
What?
Nobody in this disaster would be held accountable.
No way.
So what's going to happen to the actual site now?
But it's still it's ongoing, right? So someone's going to be held accountable eventually, but right now still ongoing.
Well, at this point, the land sits vacant. It's partially used for parking, and there are some foundational scars over top the land, with just the nubs of steel where the cranes used to stand. Kalis, the original developer, in fact still owns the site, and they don't want it to stay like this. In fact, they want to get going on another development, potentially once again with Hard Rock. The city councilors, however, do not want that, and they rescinded the height allowances, putting the restrictions back to 70 feet. They made it clear that they do not want another high-rise built with those original exceptions. Kalis responded by suing the city, and the outcome of that is apparently still ongoing.
Interesting.
This whole disaster was a complete mess that started from the day shovels went into the ground. From my critical
Shovels
eye,
went into the ground? No one's shoveling dirt. There's machinery doing it. You took a 2-week vacay, went to the beach resort 1 week, then on New Orleans second. Okay, cool.
ways. This was an ugly building that was pushing the limits of what the city wanted, pushing the limits of how things would be done, seemingly cutting costs where they could, and trying to squeeze all of these plans in with a tight and stressful timeline towards the end. With all of the facts that were dug up during this investigation, it is pretty shocking and very upsetting that nobody has been held criminally accountable. And that's pretty shameful, as this whole thing affected a lot of people.
Yeah.
It cost the taxpayers millions, caused damage to an iconic street, which in turn made small businesses lose out on customers, injured 30, and killed 3 people. They lost their lives over this, and it's pretty shocking how incompetently it was all handled. I mean, the developers dropped the ball, the engineers dropped the ball, the steel suppliers,
That warp
the
is the
city
curve of the
inspectors,
floor?
the permit
Right,
office,
yeah,
the
that's what I
district
thought.
attorney, inspector general, everyone dropped the ball on this. It's truly an astounding series of events that have all led to this promising new Hard Rock Hotel to be canceled in the most devastating way.
Oh my god.
It's pretty horrible. Damn, dudes.
If you find engineering projects, both successful and unsuccessful, interesting, then you
might want to subscribe. You might want to subscribe. Folks, we're going to take a slight pause here. I'm going to go to the bathroom. When we come back, we're going to look at the immigration protests and I guess there was a riot as well. Immigration protests that took place yesterday here in Australia in most major cities. I want to learn a little about it because I know what happened. I don't know what went down. We're going to change what we were going to talk about, and we're going to go and have a look at that instead. But I got to go to the bathroom first. So here is some surfboard riding. All right, folks, let's move on. Before we do, blowflies and polystyrene. I didn't mention that there might be a blowfly doing aerobics on a piece of styrofoam if I'm not back in time, but I was back in time. And Dugski, Australia's Molly Picklum won the women's world surfing titles at Cloudbreak in Fiji this morning. Did she now? Interesting. I don't tend to watch too much surfing. I still watch a lot of skateboarding. It's one of my little guilty pleasures. I watch all the skateboarding, the circuit, let's say, but I don't really watch too much surfing. I love surfing, obviously, and I'm deeply, deeply thankful that surfing exists so that my old body can do it, but I still get all excited for the skateboarding. Have you surfed Bondi Beach? I have surfed Bondi Beach when I was younger. I don't live anywhere near there, and I have very little reason to go up there and very little desire to go there, to be completely honest. Bondi Beach is probably one of our worst beaches. It's one of our most famous beaches, but it's also not a great beach. It's not a great beach for surfing. It's not a great beach for... You got to pay to go there. You got to pay to go to the beach. What are you talking about? You got to pay to go to that beach. There's a great wave at Cloudbreak. Right, Fiji, yeah. I'm fortunate enough I live on the south coast where the beaches are tenfold better than Bondi Beach, and 100 people less. Maybe not 1,000, a lot less people. But yeah, I surfed there when I was younger. There used to be a vert ramp on the beach and a mini ramp, and I surfed around that era, I guess. It's iconic. I mean, it's iconic, and everybody that comes to Australia should go and have a look at Bondi, just because it's like landmark. But in terms of what it actually is, I'm poo-pooing it. It's beautiful. Go and have a look. But then also know that there are many other beaches that are way nicer, way better. Let's move on. There were some rallies in this country, anti-immigration. Now, before we get into this is going to be, obviously this is politically charged. This is going to generate some interesting discussion. From what I understand, and this is from a very cursory glance from myself just before this stream, when I went to the bathroom, this was this was to put a cap on the amount of immigration, which is the amount of immigration that Australia allows needs to be capped. And I believe that's what these rallies were supposed to be for, to say, enough, let's tone it back a little, put some restrictions in place. I don't think they were calling for end immigration entirely, but I believe that they were saying, let's manage this. It's getting out of control. So that's what I think was the reason. Let's take a look. This is the first video here from a channel called chrisbooy. I went to the March for Australia rally. What really happened? Let's see.
Hi, my name's Chris. I live in Australia, and today I'm in Brisbane at the March for Australia rally. Today, thousands of Australians have rallied in Brisbane City. We're marching for Australia. There's flags everywhere. It's just heartwarming to see so many people from my country.
By the way, these were statewide or countrywide. Every city had a rally. Australia has many beaches, 30,000, right on. The whole Australia is one big gigantic beach. Netski's same has been happening in New Zealand. Right. Sorry, I don't want to talk over this guy. I just wanted to make sure that was the best quality. It seems pretty crap. We'll just go back a bit.
Today, thousands of Australians have rallied in Brisbane City. We're marching for Australia. There's flags everywhere. It's just heartwarming to see so many people from my country uniting together on one walk, one march.
It doesn't matter where you came from. This is not about identity today. This is about Australia.
Now, first thing I can see there is you don't see that many Australian flags, even in Australia Day in Australia. Dalesky, the flood of over 10 million illegal immigrants into the US has stopped. It's about damn time. Well, we're actually talking about legal immigration. We're not talking about you know what? The strange thing here, Dale, your country doesn't have permeating the whole of the country is not water. You've got a land border, whereas Australia has a very clear ocean border because we're an island. So it's pretty difficult that people do still come in boats, but it's pretty difficult to get here illegally. What they're protesting against here is that it's been open house legally for everybody and anybody en masse. And now Australia is saying, let's review that. Let's pull that back. You guys, the US allows 1 million legal immigrants per year. That's plenty. Okay. I'm not too sure what the number is in Australia, but all I know is that the idea behind this was to review that and say, we got to go forward with a different approach here.
And they're going to look at you and they're going to find some courage in themselves to stand up against their own tyrannical governments that are undermining their children's futures. So let's show the world what we can do as Australians. Because when Australians put their back into it, we can do anything. We can do anything. We've done it before. We'll do it again. We will build the best country.
Ask ChatGPT. I'm sure that this will come up in here, right? If they're protesting the amount of immigration, surely the number has to come up in these discussions. I don't think we'll have to go to ChatGPT. I'm sure it'll come up here. Let's give it some time.
Country on this planet. And if you want to come here, it's a golden ticket. It's not an open gate. Earn your ticket. Earn it. You deserve better, Australia. You don't need $1 trillion in debt from bureaucracy and multi-layered government stealing from you every single day. Time for that to end. You don't need mass migration to build voting blocks and housing developments in 15-minute cities where your kids will never see a backyard again. That's not going to happen.
That's called England.
This is a protest against a system that is undermining your future, a system that wants to steal your children's ability to own a home, to build a business, to have a family. They want you fat, dumb and lazy. They want you sick. They want you living in a prison cell where they can switch you on and switch you off. And call me a conspiracy theorist and a tinfoil hat cooker. I don't care about it all.
Is he going to go the 5G avenue? Please no. Please no.
I'm a Nazi. So what is it? What am I? I'm an Australian. We are Australians and we are here together now in this moment to draw the line in the sand. Trust me when I say that there are politicians and big corporate interests all over this country right now watching you. They're looking at you. They've got eyes on everywhere. And what you do here today will define what happens next.
He sounds quite rational. He just went in, he just dipped ever so gently into they want you in your houses and locked down. I don't know about that, adding that to the argument here. We're talking about closing the borders or closing the hole in the borders. We're not talking about locking you down in your houses, unless that's where this does go, which would be a bit of a shame.
We can show them that we can do better, that we deserve better. That our Anzacs gave a lot more than we could ever hope for or give ourselves so that we had the opportunity to be here in this beautiful garden today.
It's funny how they sing Waltzing Matilda. It's not our national anthem, but it gets adopted as such. 15-minute cities are planned for, he might be right on. I mean, yeah, that's obviously the idea of 15-minute cities like stack 'em and pack 'em housing is just because too many people, not enough space. It's obvious, right? You go and take a walk in the city of Sydney, there's no space left. Where do you put all these people? There's nowhere for them. You got to build high-rise apartments 15 minutes out of the downtown area, and then you put in better train lines, better access, which is what's happening.
media are going to cut that clip, and you all just became Nazis. So let's think about this. Just chill for a second, that'd be really good. I really appreciate all that. We all share one common cause here. We want to stop close the gates and stop immigration. We want to stop mass immigration. We want to stop your country from being stolen from you. We are here for one singular focus.
Is he saying that they don't want any immigration or they want to curtail it? Because I feel like that's two different things. Stopping immigration entirely, I don't know if that's the right approach because that's not feasible. Limiting it, for sure, but stopping it? He clearly said we want to stop immigration. So no immigrants to the country? No immigrants. Does race have anything to do with the protest? Non-political? No, I mean, they probably will say that there's too many people coming from this country, from that country, from this country, from that. That's probably where this does go, but I didn't think it was meant to be about that, but.
From being stolen from you. We are here for one singular focus. And when we get that going, we can have a constructive debate about what happens next. But first of all, we've got to shut the gates.
Shut the gates. So they're calling for no immigration, zero. That's going to be harder to achieve. That's going to be a lot harder to achieve. Most of the people in this country, including myself and most families I know, did not. I'm born here, but my family, I'm descendant from, they weren't born here. They came here. Is it more about cultures not assimilating? I mean, that's usually where this goes. Yeah. Yeah, that's usually where this goes. I heard India is by far the most common migration in Australia, most common, largest by population, possibly, yeah.
Okay, guys, we're going to do one that we can all agree on, and it's about the fake news. Is everybody ready for some fake news chanting? I can't hear you, Brisbane. Are we ready? And has everybody had enough of fake news? Okay, here we go. We're going to practice. We'll be a bit rusty-dusty like before, but we'll nail it. Okay, the fake news chant's pretty easy. Are we ready? Yeah. I'll do it slowly, and then so we nail it here and we'll smash it out there. Okay. Okay, the chant is fake news ABC. Fake news ABC. Okay, I'll do this bit slowly. It's only 4 lines. Ready? Fake news ABC. Ready? Eroding our democracy.
Wow. It's pretty cringe.
Eroding our democracy. Ready? News ABC. Fake news ABC.
You know what would be a better chant? Just don't watch the news. Why do you? Okay, this is cringe.
Eroding our democracy. Eroding our democracy. Corruption is plain to see.
I find the whole group chant thing cringe. I mean, essentially, she's just telling everybody what to say, which is what she's complaining the news is doing, right? The news tells you what you should and shouldn't believe, and you go and watch it. Now, instead, listen to me and then repeat after me. It's the same thing, just a different message. And why do people insist on yelling when she's got a fucking microphone? You've got the microphone. You've got the amplification. You don't need to yell into it. You might say, you're yelling right now. Oh, yeah, okay. Good point. I am yelling. Shut the fuck up. Let me just be clear. That chant is not going to win anybody over. No one's going to be going to bed tonight remembering that chant. They're going to be like, that was cringe as fuck. Be good little sheep, yeah.
We'll never be torn apart. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
That one's more memorable.
Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
Aussie, Aussie.
You might as well have just stuck with that one. That one's pretty memorable. The whole planet knows that one.
Aussie, Aussie.
I don't know how long I'll get to be concreting, because the body's falling apart, let's be honest. But I've got young workers.
This man gets it. He gets it. He's got the microphone. He doesn't need to yell into it. He gets it.
Body's falling apart, let's be honest. But I've got young workers is, right, and I used to tell them, mate, in a year you'll be full-time. Save the house deposit. Get a home in Ipswich, right? I can't sell that dream to my workmates, and it's not bloody good enough. Albanese.
Ipswich is a shithole, isn't it? Hendrik, if you're watching, that's where the Delica garage was. I thought that was a dump out there. You want to go out there? I don't know Brisbane very well, but I thought Ipswich was a shithole.
He ran on the last election this year. He said he was going to reduce immigration. He absolutely lied to all of us. People in good faith voted for that guy because they were sick to death of what the Liberal Party's been doing, because both of them are as bad as each other.
Unibody sucks!
They dragged us through COVID together. They locked us down. They sent families broke.
COVID.
The families aren't having as many children because they can't afford it. How are you going to pay for an $800,000 mortgage? How many people in this country earn over $100,000? It's not fucking real. Some guy's saying 6% of people could afford houses now. How are you going to put a ring on a young lady's finger and give her security and a family, marry her and have kids if you can't put a roof over your bloody head? It's not good enough. That's why we're here.
This guy can't even hold the microphone above his head, let alone a roof. It's funny, you know, I don't know, like, I'm patriotic, I love my country, but I don't wear blue sun cream, like this zinc cream shit. I don't think anybody really does. The only time you see this sun cream, there's zinc creams with blues and the reds and shit, you only see that on Australia Day and these marches. You never see it in the ocean at the beach, right? It's always just white sun cream. Yet when it comes down to protesting Australia, they always get these. Who makes these blue zinc creams? They're making a killing. They're the ones behind these rallies. They're just going, yeah, let's have a rally for Australia. And by the way, here's our new merch line of zinc creams. Go and get them.
I work in the industry.
Yeah, it's obviously he's not using it. Yeah, right on Neskis. It's war paint. He's not using it as a sun cream. He's using it to draw the color on his face for Australia. I think we get it, dude. You're Australian. We get it. We got your blue shirt. We got the blue cap. We got the hundreds and thousands of Australian flags. We get it. You're an Australian.
Can't build enough homes to house the people in the country. There's bloody 10 cities in the city, everywhere. We've had enough. They need to listen to us. Across this country, right now, people are protesting. We are speaking up.
Send them home. So they don't just want to stop immigration, they want to kick immigrants out. Does that include my mum? Does that include my mum? Who does that include? Send them home. I'm all for close the hole, fill the hole, bridge the gap, fill the gap. I'm all for that, but send them home? Is that what they want? They want to round up immigrants and send them all home? That's not cool. That's my family gone. That's my girlfriend's family gone.
Use the hole, bridge the hole, or fill the hole.
That doesn't seem right to me. Where's the line drawn? Yeah. They're definitely chanting send them home, which is a chant that
fill the hole.
You can definitely remember more so than the other one that they came up with. Send them home. Must be all the new people the UN is sending. So is there, like, if the idea is to send immigrants back to where
I want to mow the lawn and go fishing.
Yeah. If that's the idea, to send immigrants back to where they came from, where do you draw the line though? Like what date do you go back to? How are they going to work that out? Are they going to say, okay, so obviously we're not talking about sending immigrants that came 5 decades ago. We're not talking about them. Okay, so who are you talking about? Are you talking about people that came earlier this year, 2025? What about earlier last year, 2024? What about people that came before COVID? How do you define that line? And I would not be the person to make that line, man. Everybody out except the Aboriginals, right? But they came here as well. They did. That's the other thing. When you get into this thought about where do you draw the line, Aboriginals they're not born here. They came here. They came here from the Papua New Guineas, the above the north. They came down in canoes to populate Australia. You could argue if you want to go all the way back, there should be nobody here. It should just be a barren land, right? I mean, Adam and Eve didn't exist in the Garden of Eden in Australia, but go all the way back, that's somewhere in the Middle East, right? So there's no one here. No one's entitled to it, you know? Everybody get the fuck out. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you do entertain this argument, which they're saying, send them back, there needs to be an asterisk. We only meant these people. We didn't mean everybody, because where do you stop? I don't know if you can, right? Oh my God, this is a horrible rendition of our anthem. This is cringe as fuck, dude. Listen to this. Whoever decided to sing anthems? Not everybody can sing. It's as bad as giving everybody an instrument and saying, okay, now everybody play in time, in tune with this. No one can do that. Like maybe 7% of people can do that. Why do we think we can all sing? This group singing thing, horrible. That should be the cutoff, right? If you can't sing in tune, those guys should be sent back. Get them out first. They should be the first to go. Same as the Maori, bro, in New Zealand. They're not the first in New Zealand, but everybody wants to think they were. It's 2020. They came from Africa. Right, yeah, I mean, yeah. How do you define it? Karaoke at Gev Streams next week. Of course not. These cops should be arresting the people for poor singing, you know. That's the real crime going on right now. It's a group cringe fest. There needs to be a meme. Couldn't sing at school. Couldn't sing as a young boy. Couldn't sing in the workplace, but I can sing at a rally. You know, I'm going to sing my heart out at this rally to prove my point. It's going to be horribly out of tune. I'm not going to be able to hold a key. I'm going to be completely out of time, but I'm singing my heart out. It's so dumb. Send them back. Send them back.
What a beautiful group of people you are. You are good. I wish I looked like you.
I wish I looked like you. What a beautiful people you are. Good timing.
We've now left Roper Street Parklands. We've started the march. I believe we're going to Parliament House right now. So far, there hasn't been any arrests. It's all been a peaceful rally.
Someone's going to be in there going, Free Palestine, right in between. Aussie, 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 Free Palestine. Not this one. You're at the wrong rally. Aussie, 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 oi, Free Palestine, oi. He's going to Free Palestine at the same rally? No. Okay, that's fair enough. Albo's a wanker, Albo's a traitor. That. If you don't like your Prime Minister, that's fair enough. Call that. That's a good chant. You know, you can call that shit out. Elbows a wanker. Free Palestine.
We are marching through the main streets of Brisbane right now, and you can hear the frustration in people's voices, but we're all united here. You know, an elbows or wanker chant happening. It's been going over and over again.
And do the other one. Do the send them back one. Don't forget the send them back one. Elbows a wanker, yeah, but what about the send them back?
But the thing is, the media's going to turn around and say, oh, it's only a few thousand. There is...
Didn't mention that one, eh? Conveniently just looked over that send them back chant. That didn't... No, we just said elbows a wanker, that's all. Didn't mention anything about singing out of tune. Didn't mention anything about send them back.
United here. You know, an elbows or wanker chant happening. It's been going over and over again. But the thing is, the media's going to turn around and say, oh, it's only a few thousand. There is tens of thousands of people out here. The city is marching together united.
Dogsy, I think it's disrespectful to the office of the Prime Minister. Vote him out next time. Yeah. I mean, the idea of the chant being, you know, more permissible is that everybody can get around it, whereas the other chant, which went on forever, no one's going to remember it. No one can get around it. I don't even remember what it was, and it only happened 2 minutes ago for us. But elbows a wanker is a very simple, easy chant. But I agree. If you don't like him, vote him out next time, right? For sure. Technically, they didn't say send them all back. That's true. That's true. They said send them back, and them would be immigrants, right? I don't know who. How do they? Yeah. Again, we got to find that line, right? What's the line? It's vague. Yeah.
One of the crowd favourite chants today is elbows a wanker and elbows a traitor. And that one.
We got to hit that one again. What about the send them back one, dude? Not highlighting that one, hey? Chris boy.
And that one too's a crowd favourite.
Albanese is a traitor. Albanese needs to go.
Oh yeah. That's weird. Better dead than what? What was that? Better dead than red. What's that in relation to? It's a side hustle. Someone's got a side hustle. Better dead than red. Red as a communist. Ah, gotcha. Right. That wasn't made mention really here. I guess that just slipped in. That came under the rug. There's one. Oh, there was one placard there. Stop mass immigration. Right there. Stop mass immigration. That's what they're there for, right? That's the only placard we've seen with that on it. Everybody else is trying to get rid of the Prime Minister. What's the red flag? What's that? I mean, I know these are Aussie ones, but what's the one with the red sky?
Well, there's speeches and stuff happening in front of the Parliament House right now, and the council also diverted that way, so it's all right.
Dalsky, Oz military is undergoing massive build-up because of the threat from communist China. Is that what that red flag's in relation to? Open your eyes, the media lies. It's more like they're trying to tell everybody you're all dumb. Everybody that's here is dumb. The media lies. Albo needs to go. They're all. It's like you guys are all so thick. You have to chant this out over and over again. That one's got to protect our farmers. Look at this. There's a protect our farmers right down here. The placards are all that. No one got in sync here. They didn't. No one joined up and said, "Now this is what we're going to protest. We need to be all on the same page here." The red Aussie flag is naval. Oh, okay, gotcha. Capitalist democracies for UK, US, New Zealand, Canada. That's a big flag. Uh-oh. Sucks to be in traffic. You can't ride there, buddy. Someone called it. Someone called that out. Get off the footpath. You can't ride your bike on the footpath. It's classic. I mean, I made that gag too. You can't ride there. He's a cop. He can do what he wants. But someone, get off the footpath. That's classic. That's classic. Yeah. They probably that dude probably got arrested for telling the cops what to do. That's worth hearing again. Get off the footpath. There you go. That's how that ends. But now, to get another perspective, here's Sky News Australia from yesterday. Tens of thousands call for an end to mass immigration.
First tonight, the Bush fought back today against Anthony Albanese's...
Shut up. I'm playing this video. Let's go for it.
Tens of thousands of people marched in cities across Australia today to show their pride in Australia and to call for...
What's he got on his forehead? Has he just taken a baseball bat, a baseball cap off? He's got this epic line on his forehead. That's from wearing a hat, right? He probably wore an Akubra outside in the rally to prove he's Australian, and then he forgot that he's got to go live on air, and he's got this big crinkle right across his forehead. Wait, it's not there now.
Thousands of people marched in cities across Australia today to show their pride.
Shit, that's just a wrinkle from... Okay, I'll take that all back. I've probably got hideous wrinkles too. That's an unfortunate, massive one, isn't it? That's just when he... Okay, rewind. That's just how he looks. Nothing wrong with that. I thought it was from wearing a baseball cap.
But first, tens of thousands of people marched in cities across Australia today to show their pride in Australia and to call for a stop to mass immigration.
The government's supposed to work for us, the people. We don't want half there not going on, so we're making a stand today to make things right. Albo, you work for us, mate, and you've got to go.
Yeah, Australians turned out in force despite the fear-mongering from politicians and the media.
Australia is a nation of foreigners, just like that wonderful song says. From all the lands on earth we come.
What song?
And Australia is...
Wait. What song was that? Dougski, what song is she referring to? From all the lands we come. Is that in our anthem?
From all the lands on earth we come.
Is it? I don't know what song she's referring to. From all the lands on earth we come. Sounds like it could be. It sounds like it could be from Waltzing Matilda. I'm an Australian by the Bushwalkers. I find many on both sides naive and simplistic. Inaccurate. Right.
And Australia isn't a place where we walk with Nazis. Australia is a place that went to war with Nazis.
We absolutely condemn.
Went to war against Nazis, not... Oh, I don't... Okay, war. Okay, bad choice in words. Went to war against Nazis.
Place that went to war with Nazis.
That's kind of making it sound like we actually went to battle and they were alongside of us.
with Nazis. Australia is a place that went to war with Nazis.
We absolutely condemn the March for Australia rally that's going on today.
Wow.
It is not about increasing social harmony. We think, and I think the vast majority of the Australians think that multiculturalism has been a good thing for our country.
Labor politicians should have had more faith in their fellow Australians. When neo-Nazi leader Jack Eltis was given the microphone in Sydney, large numbers of people booed and many left the event.
At one point in Melbourne, pro-Australia protesters even came face-to-face with pro-Palestinian protesters. Have a look.
There's some...
There's a lot.
Wait. So hang on. So that's the Melbourne rally, and there was definitely the Palestinian flags are all over the place there. Claiming these protesters as Nazis is asinine bullshit. Okay.
Pro-Australia protesters.
But what does she say about the Nazis?
Labor politicians should have had more faith in their fellow Australians. When neo-Nazi leader Jack Eltis was given the microphone in Sydney, large numbers of people booed and many left the event.
At one point in Melbourne, pro-Australia protesters...
So there were Nazis that rocked up and people booed them? Okay. And then how did the Free Palestine get wrapped up in this?
Numbers of people booed and many left the event.
At one point in Melbourne, pro-Australia protesters even came face-to-face with pro-Palestinian protesters. Have a look.
Hey, Woz, how you doing, man?
There's a lot to unpack in
what a shambles was and a lot to unpack. It seems like the Brisbane one that we saw was pretty straight up. They just wanted no immigration and they wanted to send everyone back. Now we're seeing Sydney had Nazis and Melbourne somehow got tied into the Free Palestine rallies as well. Netsky's it's a protest flag now, being the old merchant ship flag, meaning people are born at sea and birthed into port with a birth certificate. Okay. Which flag are you referring to?
Events of today, but let's start with the key concerns, it seems, of the majority of people who marched around Australia. They're upset that mass immigration has replaced controlled immigration. There was no one that I heard or saw who was anti-immigration. They were anti-
Well, we did. We watched the Brisbane run and they literally said, send them back. Send them back is pretty clear. It's a mixed message. Everyone has a different agenda. This is what I'm seeing. Like, yeah, we're catching this. I'm catching this for the tail end of it. It's all finished now, but it doesn't seem like it was very coordinated. From what we saw in Brisbane, they were definitely sending the clear message: send them back. So whoever immigrated to Australia, send them back. It's more they want to reduce migration amount. That's what I thought it was. That's what it sounded like it was. We don't want to stop immigration. We want to tighten the hole. We want to close. We want to fill the hole. We want to use the hole. The red flag in the marches. Oh, that's the Navy. Right. Okay, sorry, Netsky. So you were back a little. Okay, okay. I gotcha.
Mass immigration. And the other concern is that multiculturalism has clearly replaced assimilation. As a result, our country is changing. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. We've got ethnic enclaves around the country. We've got civil unrest every weekend, pro-Palestinian protests. Crime is clearly up as a result of mass immigration in certain areas. And we're continually told on top of that Australia is built on stolen land and that our history is something to be ashamed of. Is it any wonder then that so many regular mums, dads are upset? For Murray Watt to come on Sky News this morning...
There's migrants there too, even saying that they want reduced numbers. That goes a long way to reducing housing prices and availability. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that I don't think there's any argument there. I think that's pretty clear. What's a shame is that the rallies just seem to be a cringe fest of a whole bunch of different people coming together under one umbrella, but not really. Like, it's like they're all here for the same cause, but they're not. They're all here for individual causes. We had placards saying, protect the farmers. And then Albo's a wanker. He's got to go. It's like, so you can vote him out and you can talk about the farmers later. If we're here to talk about, lowering the amount of immigration, then that's what we're here to talk about. It's discombobulated. It's confusing, and for fuck's sake, stop singing. You don't need to sing at a rally. Like, no, but you can't sing to start with. Why do you think you can sing all in unison in a massive park in the center of the city? You sound horrible. The Australian anthem has never sounded any worse than it did at these rallies. It's terrible.
Morning and say that these protests were just as a broad brushstroke hateful and divisive is disingenuous. He knows very well that the vast majority of people are not at all hateful. But even Brad Batten, the Victorian opposition leader, said anyone who's anti-immigration is racist.
That's such bullshit. Anyone who's anti-immigration is racist. That's rubbish. Also, migrants taking jobs from Aussies at a lower wage. I don't know if that happens, but I'm sure it does. But I mean, yeah, if that happens, then that's illegal, right? Definitely in Australia, you don't get paid different rates because of where you were born. I mean, under the table you might, cash jobs, but certainly not on the book style.
Stupid thing to say. Immigration is a policy. It's not an indictment on a certain ethnic group. You could be anti-immigration without being racist. And so for the Victorian opposition leader to just write off large numbers of people like that is just silly. But I do understand why politicians, maybe Brad Batten, would be nervous about picking a side in this fight because, as we said, these protests were marred by neo-Nazis getting involved and the lack of leadership in terms of who's running these things.
How was his comment hate? I don't think it was. What are you saying? Was said there are migrants there too, even saying that they reduced numbers. That goes a long way to reducing housing prices. It got blocked. Your comment got blocked. Oh shit! What platform? You're on Kick. Oh wait, okay, I can see it. Okay, hold on. A mod deleted it by hate. Oh wow. So the comment was, yep, there were people who protested and were shocked that they were marching with the small crowd of neo-Nazis, deleted by an AI mod. You guys got to see this. Why did your D-Live stream go down? Are you kidding me? D-Live cut me off? Are you fucking serious, dude? I got cut off D-Live? You can broadcast full-blown porno on D-Live, and I'm reacting to a protest in the city, and I got cut off D-Live? Let me just check. That's bullshit. Yeah, I'm off D-Live. Wasn't anything I did. I don't know, dude. Wow. I mean, I'm just going to show you this before we go any further. Let me pull up my Kick dashboard here. This is the Kick dashboard. And here we see in the chat, there's Waz's comment. AI mod deleted it for hate because you used the word neo-Nazi. If I just put the word neo-Nazi, is that automatically flagged? I just wrote it in the chat. I'm interested to see if that just flags it just for that word. That's exactly how you used it. Okay, the AI isn't picking it up. Your comment said, yeah, there were people who protested and were shocked they were marching with the small crowd of neo-Nazis. And it got deleted. But I just typed the word and it didn't get deleted. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. And then D-Live just dumped me out. Check this out. Where's my D-Live machine? D-Live just went, you're out of here, dude. What do I do on D-Live? I'm not live. It's playing a rerun. I'm going to stop it and start it on D-Live. I got the beam stream turning it off and on again. Turning it off. And turning it back on again. We'll just see if it starts up again. I mean, that's concerning. It's playing a rerun there at the moment. Last live 34 minutes ago. Oh, that could just be, okay, so that might not be, that could just be a coincidence. But now here it comes, I'm back live. Yeah, that could have just been a coincidence. I don't know. I would not say that DLive bumped me off, because like I said, you can broadcast XXX porno on DLive. So talking about the protests that have taken place yesterday in this country does not warrant being turned off DLive. I think that might have just been a coincidence. Doug's got a split. No worries, man. Who hosted me on DLive? Who did that on? Thank you, Doug. See you, man. Take care. You got a lacrosse thing? Okay, cool. Grand final this week. Hey, Charles is in the house. How you going, Charles? Good to see you, man. Let's continue where we were. Where were we? We were when we were doing what we were doing. Who's drinking? Not me. It's a weekday, man. I've already had a coffee. That does sound like a refreshing homebrew, though, the way that enters the glass. Let's continue on with this protest or this story that we were watching. Here we go.
Things that would be a concern for people as well. So I can understand the reluctance of politicians to get involved, but to dismiss it as hateful and divisive.
What, to get involved in the march, or you're talking about the policy in general?
To get involved in the march.
Okay, no, that I can understand. From what I observed, or everything that I've seen today, there wasn't a lot of neo-Nazis at these protests. The majority of people at these protests were everyday Aussies who have quite frankly had a gutful of this country being overrun by absolute madness, out of control, runaway immigration policy. I mean, we've had more than 1.1 million immigrants come into this country since Labor was elected. And let's be realistic, but we can't sugarcoat this, James. There have been people who've brought into this country, some who hate us, some who hate our values, some who have absolutely no interest in assimilating in this country. So I say good on those people for getting out there and taking a stand. In fact,
she's revved up. Calm down, lady. Yeah, I'm drinking RC cola. Yeah, so I'm not sure what her stance is, but I'm assuming it's not like send them back, right? Send them back, right? That's not what she's saying. But that's what we were hearing at these rallies. With the Brisbane one, send them back.
I think this marks a pivotal moment. I was actually heartened to see all of those Australian flags. People had them draped over them. They were waving them proudly. Thank goodness, finally, we're seeing some Australian pride.
Well, where was Murray, calling out the pro-Palestinian rallies as hateful and divisive?
Well,
but if an Aussie flag gets waved, all of a sudden it's an extremist behaviour.
And this is the point I want to make, because let's be honest, it is not hateful to wave the Australian flag.
Of course not.
It is not hateful to love your country. It is not hateful to be proud of your country. Yet you've got the left who peddle this ridiculous narrative that it's racist to wave the Australian flag. Honestly, it's like they tie themselves in knots of guilt constantly. The absolute self-loathing is out of control. And secondly, it's also not hateful to bring up the fact that people are worried about the state of this country when you've got flags of terror groups being waved so brazenly down the Harbour Bridge, or we saw what happened at the Sydney Opera House days after the Hamas attacks. And I find it appalling that the media are just writing today with this neo-Nazi line, marred by neo-Nazis. Yes, I agree that there were neo-Nazis. I do agree, and I condemn that. It is absolutely abhorrent. We should all be condemned.
But that's what the media does, right?
But the point of
Hey. She's on a rant here. Let her cook. She's making some good points, but she's definitely highly strung. Does Murdoch own Sky News? I don't know Netskis. I don't know who owns the Sky News network, but I will say this though: you're definitely entitled to run around with the Australian flag and run through a protest or a rally or whatever with the flag on. But I tell you, it's cringe as shit when you see that. Like, it just looks horrible. Like, you can have pride for your country, and I definitely do. But draping myself in an Australian flag and running around screaming out "Make Australia Great Again" or whatever the what is it? Send them back, whatever. All that. That's just cringe. It looks horrible. It's cringe. It's don't do it. Like, just make your point another way like that. Yeah. But neither you nor I ever gonna on a rant. No. Yeah, I'm saying this guy shouldn't. She's cooking. Let it cook. She's not done yet. He wants to cut in on her. I was cutting in on him, cutting in on her.
I find it appalling that the media are just writing today with this neo-Nazi line, marred by neo-Nazis. Yes, I agree that there were neo-Nazis. I do agree, and I condemn that. It is absolutely abhorrent. We should all be condemning that.
But that's what the media does, right?
But the point of this,
the media look for conflict.
They do, but the majority. Why wouldn't you write the article? tens of thousands of people marching for Australia, proud of this country. It just
That's true.
baffles me.
Because that's not going to sell papers.
It
It's the
doesn't matter.
conflict that sells.
And the other thing I would say...
The problem here is people buying the newspaper, right? If the media is the black sheep here and the media does this, stop fucking consuming the media then. Stop watching the fucking news. Stop watching the current affairs programs. Stop buying the newspaper. Tell me why do you need to buy a newspaper anyway? Like, fuck, man, it's on the fucking internet. Who's buying newspapers?
Is that I also don't think it's unfair to question the types of people we are bringing into this country, especially those who come from places whose values are incompatible with Western democracies, and that is not racist to talk about, and you're not a bigot to bring it up.
So everything you've said is correct. The question, though, is where does this movement go?
No. The question more is, where do you draw the line? She made a very clear point there that certain people are not to be permitted. So who are they? Where do you cap that line off? And if it's a case of those that are already here, mass deportation, from what date? What date do you go back to? Does it involve my family? Does it involve my family's family? Where do you draw the line if you're going to kick people out of the country? You weren't born here, therefore you're out. Okay, up until when? Sounds crazy, but then you keep going back and back and back. You end up saying no one's allowed here. Certain people in the line, man, it's gonna be horrible to have that discussion. Like, who's gonna get the balls to stand up and go, it should be 2023, January 26, Australia Day, 2022. That's when, if you came in after then, you're out of here. You haven't had time to meet someone, have a family, get a good job, make a house, so you're out, sending you back from whence you came. Then they'll be like, but what? But maybe you should go back to 2019 when COVID started, you know? People were in lockdown, you know? People were having more chances of having sex and maybe making families, so they're probably okay. But after that, nah, you're out, you're done. They're trying to turn this into a situation like the USA. I don't know. It's. I mean, possibly, but it's kind of hard to put those two together because of the numbers. The sheer numbers are different. And like I said to Dalesky earlier, we have a clear border in this country. It's called the ocean. The USA has land border, which is a little bit harder to protect or to. I'll just say this. I've always thought people that get angry about this wall concept, right? We need to protect our southern border, the US, right? The people that get angry about that, I'm like, are you also angry about airports and customs control? Because here in this country, in Australia, if you fly into this country, you have to go through customs. There's no way around that, right? Your plane lands in any international airport in this country. You're proving who you are. You're showing a passport before you get let in. And if you don't have the visa or the work permit or whatever it is, you're going back. But yet you get to a land border? Well, you can't put a wall up. That's crazy. You can't stop people from walking across the land. Why not? It's a border. It's the same thing. The difference is you got to fly here. You have to go through an airport. That's the only difference. I would love to see people that were complaining about this Trump making the wall and putting this big structure up. I'd love to see them going to the airports and saying, oh, also, let's remove the customs department at all international airports. If we're not putting a wall up between the South America and Mexico, then take down all the customs areas in all the airports. It's what they're arguing about, right? Like that's actually what they're arguing. They're arguing about the idea of a border. And if I'm going to get into that discussion, I would say we should have a planet without borders. Why do you need to have a passport to prove where you were born? I thought we were all humans. If you're going to go down that, if you take it all that way, then fucking get rid of all borders, get rid of passports. You're born, you're a human. You're a species like the next human, right? That's where it probably should go, but it will not go that way because war and money and different countries doing things differently. So now we've got this idea of you need a border. So why does a water border become more acceptable, but a land border? No, you can't do that. You can't put a wall up. Doesn't make any sense to me. Oz customs are a hard ass. Now gives you really must stop making sense. I mean, when I saw all that kerfuffle about Trump putting the wall up, people were complaining about it. This guy can't be serious. What is he going to build a wall? Yeah. What other option would you think? How about we dig a massive channel and just put water so that you got to swim across, right? Would that be better if it was water? We all have water borders all around this country. Would that make it easier to digest if it was a water border? Be a bit difficult to do, but if that's what's going to, putting up a wall would make it more sense, right? And they're like, where did we hear about walls last time? Germany. It's like, that's not the same thing, man. We're talking about your own sovereign border from your country to another country, just like we have when we fly. Just to go to New Zealand, you got to check your passport. We're talking, I could throw a stone that far. I could skip a stone across the, not really, but you know what I'm saying. It's close by. Stop making sense, you mean? Stop making sense. Okay, I'll stop making sense.
So as a result of today, clearly a big movement. First question, do politicians listen or do they continue to deride these people? If they deride them and demonise them, then we'll see these marches increase and continue, which raises my second question.
Wait a sec, Dale. Is a fence or a wall around private property a bad thing? Well, that's a bit different. That's a bit different because you're talking about something that you've bought and own, your own property. We're talking about countries. We're talking about sovereignty to a country. That's what we're talking. Where you can put a fence up and no one should be able to trespass across it. Of course, that's your own property, but that's a bit different because the person that's going to trespass is probably your neighbor or someone trying to steal something or whatever. But we're talking about people coming into the country.
There's some similarities.
There's some similarity. Not really. You don't get a pass on that one. No, I like that you were thinking, but think harder, man. That's not a great comparison. But I get where you're going. But in this case, just know that you're wrong. That should be an alert. Just know that you're wrong.
And that's the question of leadership. We don't have a Nigel Farage in this country to lead a pro-Australian movement, which leaves it open to either idiots leading the movement. I don't know how a neo-Nazi was given a microphone in Sydney.
I agree, appalling.
That was just a stupid decision. Someone messed up badly there. And so there's either that or
we didn't see
you
that.
Get radicals taking hold of the movement.
It should be an alert.
Those are questions that I'm interested to see what happens moving forward.
Leading up to the last election.
The problem is this woman doesn't realise she's a co-host. She just wants to yap. She just talked over him again. She's like, no, I got a point to make. I'm going for it. Watch her cutting on top of him.
Or you get radicals taking hold of the movement. So those are questions that I'm interested to see what happens moving forward.
Leading up to the last election, okay, migration was not front and centre. Actually, in the last two elections, migration has not been front and centre.
Yeah.
It is a debate that both sides of politics seem to shy away from.
Correct.
You will recall that Peter Dutton did make that pledge to cap migration numbers at a certain amount, which, by the way, leading economists, for example, Leith Van Onselen, said it's simply not going to be enough because given the housing crisis, we need to really dramatically scale it back.
Wait, so they've already agreed to cap migration? Well, then what's the point of the protests? Did she just say that they already agreed to do that? Didn't she just say that?
Sides of politics seem to shy away from.
Correct.
You will recall that Peter Dutton did make that pledge to cap migration numbers at a certain amount, which, by the way, leading economists, for example, Leith Van Onselen, said it's simply not going to be enough because...
But they did agree to cap migration. Okay. So this is before the protests? So they did agree. So Peter Dutton did agree to cap migration. Then why protests? You've already got the answer. They had one of them speaking in Melbourne. It was interesting to see his speech. He lost the crowd every comment. It got worse. Interesting. Wow. He interrupted her as well. He did. He interrupted earlier. Yes.
Given the housing crisis, we need to really dramatically scale it back. But they did not prosecute. The coalition were too scared to go that further on. And I can honestly say, and we've got Pauline Hanson coming up on the show tonight.
They're losing numbers to One Nation because they talk about it.
Exactly. The only party that is willing to prosecute this argument, and I maintain it is not racist.
So she's saying that they promised that they didn't fulfill it. Okay.
About migration, and you're not a bigot to bring it up, but political parties shy away from it. Forget Labor. They're not going to do anything because high migration actually suits Labor politically. But
a canal from the Gulf of America to the Pacific Ocean through the Gulf of America, the Gulf of Mexico, they can't just change the flag. Actually, you can just change a name of a place, can't you? They did it here in Australia. They changed all the names of the places to Aboriginal names, so you can change it. Yeah. So a canal from the Gulf of America to the Pacific Ocean through California would be a good idea. I mean, you get your water border at that point. You know, you got to fly over it. It's got to be a big canal, though.
They're not going to do anything about it. It is up to the coalition to prosecute this, and I do not think that they will.
And in terms of these marches and where they go, and if they get ugly, the fault is not primarily the marchers. It's our mainstream politicians, Labor and Liberal, who refuse to have the conversation.
Yeah.
If you end up...
I thought he was saying this. I thought they were talking as though this hadn't already happened. This is after the march.
With chaos on the streets, it's the fault of politicians who won't allow a conversation. That's the big
I completely agree. Meanwhile, big Australia just keeps getting bigger and bigger. The housing crisis is a mess, and yet here we are today.
Big Australia. I thought she was referring to the size of people in Australia. Now, we're going to wrap this up here with just a quick little snippet of some skateboarding. Just to change the topic here, what was the... hang on. What was the event called? What was the skate event that just went down? I just said I watched them and I don't remember the name of it. The hang on, give me 1 second. I haven't queued this in because I really wanted to change our little mood here by taking a look at some insane action from this event that went down. It was in Montreal. I'll be able to find it. Give me a second. Dime Glory Challenge. This is what I'm looking for. The Dime Glory Challenge. Take a look at this. I won't show you it all. This is a Brazilian guy, Pedro Barros. He's an absolute machine on a skateboarder. And this Dime Glory Challenge, there's just these insane different structures which you don't normally see at skate parks. You'll see a version of this, but you won't see this to this scale. Now, the reason I paused it there is because if you go forward, I don't want to show the whole thing. Well, I want to pause it right. So what you've got there is, this is called a spine transfer. So you've got a spine ramp, which is, so you all know what a half pipe is, right? A half pipe. You've got two of them and they're joined by the middle bit, which is the spine, where two ramps join together. This was a big thing in the late 90s. You don't often see spines. You see a spine at a skate park. You'll see different obstacles with spines, but you don't often see a spine ramp so much. In this Dime Glory Challenge, they built, as one of the structures, I guess the finale, they built a spine ramp, which you only have to hit once. Normally it's part of two half pipes and you'd be inside of it on both sides, but this is one you drop into and then you use it and then you exit. And they put an absolute chronic amount of vert on it. Like, it must be 8 feet of vert, which is just like, that's like 6 feet more than normal. And Pedro Barros, this Brazilian maniac, if you ever see him in comps, you just watch the comp because he'll tear the whole place apart. He tail transferred over that spine. Not only did he do it, but he held a big ass sword in his hand. So he had extra balance and extra weight bearing on him. And he still did it with a sword in his hand. It's insane. Check this out. Look at the size of this. Like this, where's my mouse? A normal vert ramp would end. A normal vert ramp would probably end about there where my mouse is. They've just chucked this extra fucking 6 feet of vert. I'm calling it 8 feet. It might even be more, but I'm calling it at 8 feet. And he just went, I can transfer that. And not only will I do it, I'll take a sword with me. I got to see it again. Even just the drop, the tail drop from the other side. If you went to a park, what's the command again? If you went to a skate park and there was a ramp and that's how high it was, and you were, and let's just say that there was a platform across the back, a deck, and you walked up to it to start riding, and you were going to drop in on that side where he is now. So if you were starting from where he starts, from where he stands right now, if that's where you were starting from, even that would be frightening to do, let alone coming up from the other side, getting over it, and then getting into the position to elevate, to drop in. Man, you really have like an epic amount of balls and control of your body weight, your shifting of your weight, to factor in this epic amount of vert, this 8 feet of vert or whatever it is. Because yeah, I mean, everybody that goes to a skate park or a vert ramp looks at it and goes, man, that's too high. This is too high. This is stupidly high just for this competition. This is not normal, right? This is abnormal, but they do it because, you know, people get stoked on it, like me, you know? Check this. So that's how I wanted to end today's stream. Just with a little bit of some fun there, just for shits and giggles, because, hey, if I can't skateboard, at least I can participate in watching skateboarding. That's why I haven't been watching these rallies in Australia, because I've been too busy tuning into other things that have been going on. But thanks for hanging out with me for a little while today, and I hope I've entertained you. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves, and if you have, well, I'll see you next time. Ta-ta.